We'll be taking a look at the embedded event manager right here on the Cisco devices that allow us to automate some tasks and even create some workarounds. We'll find out more right here on IT Pro TV.
You're watching IT Pro TV.
We are jumping in to take a look at the EEM that we can find on Cisco devices. And here, of course, to help us is going to be Mr. EEM himself, Anthony Sequeira. All right, Anthony, I couldn't actually get the teaser done in one shot this time because EEM, Embedded Event Manager.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
Yeah, this is one of the technologies that I'm really not super familiar with here. So, Anthony, if we begin this way and you say those terms, when I started reading a little bit more about it, it didn't sound like anything that the name seems to really imply too much.
Yeah.
So what is this about?
It's the event management piece is interesting because you wouldn't really think about this or care about it much. It's just that behind the scenes, there are a bunch of event facilities that can act as triggers for this tool. It can be used for automation. And what's really unique about it is the E term in the name that I love, and this will be easy for you to remember, Ronnie, is embedded. That's the unique part.
Right.
Think about it. When we have like unique actions transpiring based on things that are happening with our Cisco device, usually that's the result, Ronnie, of an external management tool.
Right.
This is embedded in the local router. That's what's so unique about it. It's funny to me that it's being so heavily tested again in Encore, and it is. And that's just kind of funny to me because I thought like, all right, EEM being the big news and being a big tested thing with Cisco, I thought that was over like 12 years ago when this was invented, but it's making a big comeback. Let's take a look at it. And one of the first things I did, Ronnie, was I cooked up for you a look at the architecture. So in the center, we can see the embedded event manager server, the EEM server. And that's obviously just the components that are inside of our Cisco device that makes this possible. But notice around it, or I put it in the top right, we have all of these event detectors that feed it. What would be an example of this? Well, the prime example is Simple Network Management Protocol. So you can have Simple Network Management Protocol have essentially a trap hit the EEM server, and then you can have some automated action that EEM is going to carry out for you. Pretty cool. But that's not the only event collector that's there. Another popular event detector, not event collector. I just suddenly switched technologies. So another event detector that's popular here is syslog.
Right.
You could have this thing see a certain syslog message and take certain actions. Now notice, above the EEM server, I have another little block, and inside there I have different font. You notice a command, and that's Event Manager Run. Please know this command. This is how you could just trigger EEM.
Right.
So you yourself, always in control, right? You could go, hey, EEM, I want you to run right now. And then you could give it the particular piece of code that you want to run. Now, notice there is an EEM policy director. And this is nice because it gives you the ability to write applets or scripts. Okay? I spent a lot of time on this slide right now with you, and that's because there is a lot of potential exam information here. Okay? I mean, just can't make that any more clear, I think, right? So scripts, these are going to be TCL scripts, TCL scripts, and that's cool. You can have this TCL script that gets initiated by some event detector event, or like I said, you can write these cute little self-contained applets. And I'm sure out there in our studio audience today, everyone's thinking, well, Anthony, it'd be nice to see some examples of this. So that's what we're going to do next. Let's step through some examples. And you don't need to memorize this syntax necessarily. Please just be familiar with it so that you could potentially pick it out of a lineup in an exam environment as far as valid syntax. Event Manager Applet. So here I am creating at the CLI one of these applets. Notice that I name it in all caps like I like to do, interface or int-down. We then have the event detector of syslog called. We say event syslog pattern, and then I do my quotes, and I do some wildcarding in there, right? It's dot asterisk for wildcard, up down, dot asterisk 1/0 dot asterisk end quotes occurs for. So what am I doing? Well, it's going to be taking a look at syslog. It's going to be looking at those messages. If there is up-down messaging for the 1/0 interface 4 times, what action does our applet take? Well, it's going to go ahead and create a syslog message that says interface 1/0 change state 4 times. So we would see a console message, how cool is that, that says, hey, the interface changed state or flapped 4 times.
Now, I'm starting to notice something in that second line there where you actually started talking about the dot and the asterisk that you're seeing. Those look like regular expressions. Is that what those actually are?
That's a really good question. I know that the asterisk is right out of the regular expression type syntax. That's a really good question, Ronnie. I'd have to look at that.
I think that they really are. I think those are actually based on regular expressions.
That's awesome. And that would give us a ton of flexibility.
Yeah, and that's the idea behind that event manager. That way you don't have to be scripted totally to something that's there. You can kind of generalize it a little bit.
What a great observation. Now that you mention it, this is regular expressions we're using, because I remember where I've seen in the EEM like syslog pattern there, they'll do the brackets with the like 0-3. So now you're getting any of those interfaces. Yeah, very cool.
So as we read through this, right? So the event manager applet, that is us kicking it off with the name that we actually want. Then we're telling it to look for whenever a syslog message is produced with this type of pattern and occurs 4 times.
And let me clarify there. So this applet, Ronnie, you can initiate with the run command that we saw earlier, right? But don't forget now, it's going to be sitting on your machine and it would be dynamically triggered anytime that syslog pattern shows up of those 4 entries. You got it?
Yep.
So it's an automated thing or it's a thing that you can kick off.
Great. All right, so as we continue to move forward, what do we need to actually take a look at next then?
Let's take a look at one more applet.
Cool.
Okay, I wanted to show this one.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I wanted to show one that like shows you that you can do a whole bunch of stuff here. And by the way, you can clearly see why this is pretty exciting tech, right? I mean, it definitely is. I think EEM gets a little bit lost today because we have such sophisticated tools like DNA Center, right?
Right.
But this is like automation for dummies. So Event Manager Applet, this one I named CPU 75. We have Event Simple Network Management Protocol this time, Ronnie, a different event detector. The object ID is big, long string of numbers because SNMP is kooky like that. The get type is exact. The entry op is greater than or equal to, and the value is 75. So you can see what we're doing here. We are looking at the SNMP object identifier for the CPU utilization on our device, and we are going to trigger the actions below automatically if we get a 75% CPU utilization or higher. The poll interval on this SNMP variable is going to be every 10 seconds. What happens? We go into privilege mode. We do a show process CPU. We then mail that to 192.168.1.146. That's the address of the mail server. It's going to be engineer@cisco.com and devtest@cisco.com. The subject's going to be B25 PBX alert. And the body is, note this please, it's going to be $_CLI_result. That is an environment variable that's pre-cooked in, and that is going to mail them the results of the show process CPU. Yeah. So we are think about that automation. These individuals are getting this email that's like, hey, your B25 router is at 75% CPU or above. And oh, by the way, in the body of the email is the result of show process CPU so they can track down what happened.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the amazing part of this process right here is that once the EEM is set up in the way that you have it here, it doesn't only have to send you an email. We can actually have it reboot the router if we needed to.
Absolutely.
Right? We can have it actually generate an SNMP log message if we needed to.
Yep.
So the output of it is actually fairly diverse in what it can do.
It sure is. The router can place an order for its own replacement.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be neat.
It really could.
Oh, yeah. So there you go.
And Ronnie, this may be your nightmare in your CCIE lab because you can see how they could have fun with this in the lab exam, right? They will tell you, hey, use EEM to do, and then they'll give you a whole bunch of tasks, and you've got to code them just perfectly.
So knowing maybe some of the outputs or some of the actions that we can take, along with the detectors that we can use, is going to be key for the exam.
This is a huge part of the documentation. Pages and pages and pages detailing you the environment variables and the actions that you have available.
Amazing.
Let's take a look at one more because I did not give a script example, right? I showed you a couple of applets, but when it comes to your Tcl scripts, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be registering those with Event Manager. So what I do here is the first command is obviously to get in privilege mode, enable, but then I do show Event Manager policy registered. I'm looking to see if I have any Tcl scripts registered for EEM. I then do show Event Manager policy available. So if I haven't registered any, do I have any copied to this device for potential EEM deployment? Then once I see the answer is no and no, I go into global configuration mode and I use Event Manager policy, the name of the Tcl script that I'm going to be using. I then get out of that configuration mode and then I can do my show Event Manager policy registered to ensure that the tm_crash_reporter .tcl script is registered in the EEM system. And now that's going to either be automatically triggered based on what's inside that Tcl script, or we're going to manually initiate it with the appropriate command. So Tcl scripts, yes, you can use those as part of EEM. Just please remember, you're going to be registering those. And I would also know those show commands on that page because obviously they're going to be critical. And Ronnie, that's EEM. It's a really cool tool for both applets and scripts on the device.
All right, Anthony. Well, thank you for introducing me, at least, to the concept of the embedded event manager that's right here on those devices. Remember, you want to pay attention, of course, to those detectors as well as the actions that can be taken from them. And Anthony did emphasize the idea of scripts as well. Those are all key things that we want to make sure that we understand for the exam. But it is something that you want to go in and take a look at and see if you can configure some of these things just to see what the output's going to be as well. Well, that will do it for this episode then. Signing off for IT Pro TV, I'm your host, Ronnie Wong.
And I'm Anthony Sequeira.
Stay tuned right here for more of your CCNP Encore show.
Thank you for watching IT Pro TV.